My name is Amy Skinner, and this is my presentation on Parenthood and Children for Sociology 323 at California Baptist University. Alright, so what factors need to be considered when deciding whether to parent or not? There's a lot of factors. A few of them that I picked are financial stability. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Reported in 2013, the cost of raising a child to 18 years old is $245,000. A lot of families raise children in homes where they're not financially stable, and it's a big struggle. A lot of families end up in poverty or homeless, so you want to make sure that you are at a stable spot in your life to be able to afford a child. Emotional stability is also a big one. Children are stressful. They put a lot of strain on yourself and your partner. You have to know also that you're mature enough to have a child. At the moment, it seems like a lot of young people are having children before they should. So you just want to make sure that you're at a spot emotionally where you can handle a crying baby at 2 o'clock in the morning and be okay. Next ones are your career. Some questions to ask. Is your career stable? Can you leave your career to have a child? Are you okay with putting everything on hold to have a child? Are you okay with not taking any promotions? Because there becomes a time where you have to put your child before your work, and you may not get a promotion that'll get you more money because you might have to take more time away from your family or travel more, and you can't do that if you have a child. And can you put your child before your career? That's a living human being that you're bringing into this world, and if you can't put that child before your career, then you shouldn't have a child. Child care is another big one. Who will care for the child during the day? Who will work? Will you or your spouse work? If you're a mother, are you okay with being a working mother and having a stay-at-home father? Will you use daycare? Can you afford daycare? It's a big question with that one because daycare is expensive. Can you survive off of only one income if to have one spouse stay at home over the other? Is there family close by that can help out so you don't have to pay for daycare? These are some big questions that need to be answered before you decide if you want to have a child or not. Alright, and let's go into different types of parenting. There's two-parent parenting. And if you have two parents, you have to consider, is your relationship healthy? Can it stand the stress of having a child? Studies show that when you have a child, your marriage satisfaction reduces, and you have to make sure that your relationship is healthy enough to withstand that. Can your relationship withstand the stress that comes along with a child? It's stressful. I already mentioned that. Are both of you emotionally stable enough to make that happen? One-parent parenting, a lot of people either raise children by themselves as a single parent, sometimes by choice and sometimes not by choice. But there's some things that you have to think about. Are you capable of caring for a child by yourself? Do you have the resources to be able to care for that child by yourself? Do you have emotional support from family or friends to support you in your decision to raise a child alone? Alright, now trends in parenthood, they've changed a lot within recent years. One is conception. There's a lot of infertility issues among people. Sometimes it's the man's fault, sometimes it's the woman's fault, but there's a lot of technology now that can help that. So a couple of downsides with it is it's extremely expensive. So unless you have so many grand away in a bank account, you can't afford to do it. Some people can though. And another downfall of it is that only a third result in a live birth. So you have to think that I'm going to put all of this money into this, and it may or may not work. And now women are doing it on their own with artificial insemination. So, like I said, with one-parent families, some people are choosing to do it on their own. Now, adoption, it's becoming easier, and a lot of people are adopting from different countries, which some people in the media may look down on. My picture right here is of Thomas Rhett. He's a country singer, and his wife, and they just adopted a daughter from Uganda. And in the media, they're receiving a lot of hate because people are wondering, why didn't you adopt someone from America where there's a lot of children in need here? Why did you adopt from another country? So you kind of have to deal with that if you decide to adopt from another country. Some problems that follow adoption is that the parents can try to come back to get legal rights of their child. It's really hard. Sometimes they end up with a child, they try to adopt them, and the child gets pulled back. You have to be really emotionally stable if you decide that adoption is the option for you. Some other trends in parenthood that have changed is age. On average, people are waiting until later in life to have children. They're more financially and emotionally stable at that point in their life, which is good. And usually in more committed relationships at that point, and if not, then they're at a point in their life to raise a child by themselves. Teen pregnancy, the rates are at the lowest in history. The contraceptives are more readily available and accepted all over the United States. There's still some restrictions in certain states, or some states it's easier to get. Some states still require a parent's consent to get these contraceptives, so that there are some studies that have gone on to see if it is good or bad of having a parent consent, and this one right here says, we find no evidence that mandating parental consent for state-funded contraception increased pregnancy rates among minors. So just having contraceptives available has helped a lot overall. Alright, now we're to what are some advantages of parenting in the 21st century. So preventing pregnancy is a lot easier. So contraceptives are more readily available, like I mentioned. There's now more types. There's the pill, there's the shot, condoms, there is the IUDs. There's just a lot more options than people had, 20 years ago. It's more easy to receive. In some states you can get it without a doctor. California is one of those states, and I believe it is Washington and Colorado, I believe, are the other two that you can get it without a doctor. You just go to a pharmacist and they can give it to you. Alright, and reproductive technology is one that I mentioned earlier that has changed a lot. There's more technology to help with infertility. There's a lot more treatments, and it's easier to address infertility issues than it was so many years ago. People felt like something was wrong with them and they wouldn't say anything about it, they wouldn't get any help, but now it's becoming an easier topic to talk about. Technology is always advancing. It keeps getting better and better. Hopefully that will reduce the cost of reproductive technology. Alright, and let's see, what's more acceptable in the 21st century? Multi-partnered fertility. There's a lot more blended families that are around now. Multicultural families. Mixed families are not looked down on. They're becoming increasingly more common based on the United States right now, and people aren't looked down on for having mixed race children. And same-sex parenting. It's now legalized for marriage for same-sex couples. They can become real families, in the face of the government. And it's now acceptable for a kid to say, I have two mommies or I have two daddies. Some disadvantages of parenting in the 21st century. So discrimination still exists. There's more acceptance of same-sex marriages and families. There's more acceptance of mixed race children. But there's still people who discriminate against those people, and it's a tough environment to raise children in. You'll have to explain to your children at a young age that this is what's going on. You'll probably have to deal with this for the rest of your life, and that's a hard thing for parents to have to do. Let's see, environment without religious views. So a lot more children are being raised without any religious values. There's a lot more atheists in the country now, and they are not wanting to raise their children with any specific religion. And I personally think that we need that. This study that I found, it says Christianity, although still the dominant religion in America, is on the decline, and that decline is not due to growth of non-Christian religions, but rather is due to individuals leaving organized forms of Christianity and becoming non-religious. So it's kind of hard to raise children in that environment. I feel like they need something to follow, something bigger than themselves to follow. See, next one's working parent families. More families live with both parents working, and children are left with babysitters or on their own. It's harder to make a living right now. Families are living in poverty, so it's hard to parent when both of you need to be at work just to be able to make a living. Social media is a big one for a disadvantage. Children are raised with easy access to technology, and they're on social media at younger ages, which is hard. Bullying happens. Bullying happens at school. There's no way to deny that it happens. But now with social media, it does not stop at school. Kids can still keep bullying on social media, and that's really hard for children. There's easier access for predators and sex trafficking to happen, which obviously is not good. And then false information. It's not quality controlled. So we can go on social media and there's all of this information, and most of it is not true, but kids are reading this and they believe that it's true because they're children and they saw it on the internet. So that's a really difficult one that we're going to have to try to figure out. And let's see, last one is lack of guidance. So times have changed considerably. So we're in a new era where past guidance is not accurate anymore. So we're in a world of technology. We've never had to raise children in a world like this. We're being led blind by parenting at the moment because we don't have anything in the past to look at. And it may be looked down on to use more conservative parenting styles that were used in the past. So now spanking your child is looked down on. It's saying that people say that it's not needed, and letting your child choose their own gender and dress how they want. We're in this era now where if you don't let your child do that, then you're looked down on. And there's a lot of other examples that can come up with that same category, and it's just that one is really hard to really find a way to fix it. Because we don't know what we're doing at the moment, and the only way that we can figure it out is by practicing and trying to figure out what is best. It's really, we're being led blind at the moment. So we have the end. That was the last one. Right here I have my resources for the few quotes that I used and citations for all of the pictures that I used. So that is the end. Well, thank you very much. I hope you liked my presentation. Thank you.